In this video, we're going to see how to open and save or close a file that is different than the one that we have the macro stored in. So I started already and I created a macro called files, and I created two variables here that are two workbook variables. The first one, wkmaster, is the master file, the one that we are using right now, that is called open, save, and close files. The variable wk to open is the variable that is going to store the file that we want to open. Those two variables here, I will refer to it a little bit later. So far, if we want to open a file, let's say we want to open any kind of file, we always going to use the variable of the workbook, then equal application.workbooks.open, and we're going to include in those parentheses the path of the file. Here you have two choices. Either you hard code the link of the file, meaning that you type in where it is stored and the name of the file, like this. Or you do it a little bit differently and you use a variable. This is why we created the variable path.wk to open. Because the only thing that we really need to figure out, if we don't want to change all the time our macro, is basically how to get the path in the variable path.wk to open. I'm modifying my code here actually right now on your screen to include the variable path.wk to open, meaning that this I won't need to change anymore. The only thing that's going to differ now is the way I'm going to find the value of the variable path.wk to open. I could hardcode the name of the file and the path here. I could also ask the user by using the application.getOpenFileName. It is up to you. To save a file, I'm going to use the variable of the workbook and use the .save. Obviously, I can also use the .saveAs. And in that case, I'm going to be able to change the path of the file at the same time as the name. I could hardcode the name of the file here, and I could say test new, for example, and I would save this file under the new name in the folder documents. But as we used here in the open file statement, I'm going to look at using another variable that I created, a new one that is called new path and name. And that means that our only worry now is to set up the new path and name. So here I could actually add something else and say, oh, I want to save the file that it was previously called test into the folder test and call it test new. Not very original, but it works. Finally, I can close a file by just saying wk to open .close. There is something else that I can add. If I don't use the save file statement here, I can actually use here this. If you add the true after the close here, that means that you're going to save your changes before closing. Obviously, if you are using the same statement but false at the end, that means that you won't save the changes of the file before closing it. And there you go. You have some easy way to open a file, save a file, and close a file. Obviously, in between opening the file and closing the file, you can still create some other variables for worksheets, and afterwards it's as easy as transferring data from a worksheet to another, but it's just between two files, or three, or four, or whatever you need. Good luck trying everything. Let us know if you have any issue.